Hey, Steve, Mr. Kaufman, my friend, and I know Moses. You're probably going to see this through the whole, this little game we play on YouTube. This whole thing. It's like we're having a conversation. I'm like seeing this Skype video, and I'm like, this is how you guys have been acting for like years now. It's like whoa. Anyway, just watch the whole thing. I wish I could see a 10-hour video of you guys talking and chatting, but whatever. Just gonna give my input on some of your guys' questions. I mostly Steve, it was your questions. You were saying, how do you these people, and I have the same kind of madness that drives me. It's like, how do you get these people that don't that they go to school, like I went to Spanish class, and they didn't even use Spanish outside of class. They like played little Facebook games while the class was going, while us in the front, we were all just like taking notes and talking in Spanish, and like talking about Korean, talking about Chinese and all that. You always have this separation. You have these people in the front that really want to learn, and then you have the people in back who are just taking it, like, oh, because it'll meet the requirements for graduating. And, that's fine, because some people just want to, get on with college and do their career. But, then there's those of us that want to do language as a career. So, like me with Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, I want to be able to translate freely between those three, and English, of course, internationally. uh, and it's just, how do you get these people that don't want to learn? How do you help them? The way I would answer that is that you can't really force someone to do something they don't want to do. So what you do rather is you help them find a way to make it something that they do want to do. Why would they want to learn the language? And, I'm pretty sure everyone is a human being in their brain, which is capable of learning every language ever spoken and any language conceivable, because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to transfer data and detect patterns and utter out blurts of blah, blah, like the Russian lady, and for people to understand what that blurting is. It's like in that movie with Jack Black and what's his name, Michael Cera. I think it was Year One. They were saying, like, how do I say these things that come out of my mouth and you somehow understand them? It's like anybody's capable of doing that, and it, like you said, it all comes down to this motivation. And I believe that we all have something in our lives that can be connected to that. And for me, it was Asian TV. I saw the Chinese drama shows where they would dress up in silk and they had long beards, and me and my brother and my sister would like dub it. We would say, like, my hair is more superior and longer than yours, but my hair is stringier and thus makes me more wise. And we would just do stuff like that. And, it's just, that was kind of my main motive. With Japanese, it was because of Pokemon and anime. And, I was like, I'm tired of waiting for these translations to come out. I'm just going to learn it. And now it's something different. We grow as human beings. It's what we do. And so what I tell people who, they say, I've always wanted, I've always kind of had this qualm with when people say, I've always wanted to learn Spanish, or I've always wanted to learn Chinese, or whatever, and they're sitting here saying in English that they want to learn it, and I see what they do on their free time. If they really wanted to learn it, then they would have. So I don't know if they really want to learn it or they want to have the benefits from it. I mean, if you shoot for the benefits, you will probably fall short, because, there's a lot of benefits from everything. And usually to get those benefits, you have to be committed. You have to actually do it. And, you can't just, Rome wasn't built in a day. And, to these people, I always say, find something that you are interested in that language. Not like some guy, some professor or some, linguist specialist that talks in English for 4 hours about the language. Go to some children's show or some something simple that anyone can enjoy, even if they don't understand it. And if you can enjoy that, then you can enjoy the 4-hour lecture, and you can enjoy someone in Chinese speaking that lecture, because, I mean, for me, it's the same, whether someone's talking about religion or politics or space or science or whatever is the same as someone talking about the ABCs or talking about, dancing and doing stuff like that. It's the same to me. And, it's not like, if you're up here intellectual and, it's not the same. It's not any different than when, it's just different ways, and my main goal is to be able to read. And, because reading is like the eternal, mode of communication, because people can read what you wrote even after you're dead. And, thanks to the internet now, we can have conversations in video now. So it's like, it's still a little different because reading and writing it's never going to go away. It's always going to have some form, even if we get rid of paper. And, no matter how advanced our technology gets, people are still going to want a writing utensil that they use with their hand and a piece of paper that they can, write it on. And, it's just, what I tell people who don't have access to, they didn't, they don't have the personal drive, or they're too scared to go out on the internet forums and ask questions, is I tell them, find some music in the language. Listen to it. If you can't listen to a CD on repeat for a whole day, and then, if you can keep coming back, I mean, it's not like you have to do it in one day, but I mean, like, if you can't listen to music, I mean, find music you like, of course, and try something new. It's part of the human experience is we need to find something new, like try to get out of your comfort zone. But I mean, go into your comfort zone too. I mean, if it's different language, you want to be as comfortable as possible. So if you can find music that you enjoy and you'll listen to, even if you don't understand it, then when you do understand it, you will enjoy it more than if you like, I always tell people, don't work towards understanding. Don't work towards understanding something. Like, don't put something off until you can understand it. Rather, if you want to see it, or if you want to read it, or watch it, or listen to it. Because you're going to enjoy it no matter what. And you can always come back to it. I always tell people not to be afraid of not understanding, because, sometimes I feel insane, but I know that it delivers results. Because the minute I took off subtitles off of my Japanese anime when I was a kid, I took the subtitles off when I was 17. That was like 3 years after I started learning Japanese. And the minute I took off those subtitles, it was harder to watch for longer periods of time. I could only watch like half an episode or something, and then I would turn it off. But, you do it more and more, and it becomes easier. And the more you do it, your brain catches everything. It takes what you learned in your book, or in your class, or in your personal encounter with the native speaker. It takes that, and it personalizes it. That's really what it all comes down to. It comes to, the language is going to be what it is. The way language is taught is going to be what it is. But it's up to you, the learner. The third person to the puzzle is you. And you need to take what's out there and make it personal. And that's what I think it all comes down to. And, when I was saying earlier, when you asked the question about how would you let people learn this, is that if they want to learn the language, they will, without your help, they will find it. They will look on the internet. They will look on the forums. So what I do is I assume, okay, I can't really help the people that I can't really help the people that don't know, so I'm going to do my best I can to help the people that do know. And so I give them links to stuff that took me years to find and to perfect, and I give it to them so that they don't have to, so that they might be able to find something faster that might help me, that might help the world, that might help, it's this whole thing we do, it's humankind, it's the human species. Anyway, it was great seeing you guys talk. I want to see more of that. And you can always Skype with me. We don't have to do it on video. I'm available to talk anytime, any day. And you guys are like two of the most influential people in my language learning. I agree like wholeheartedly with everything you have to say on your videos. And so you can Skype me. I'm Areckx. It's Areckx. I'm usually not online because it takes up battery. But if you send me a message on YouTube or Facebook, Moses already talks to me on Facebook, and I'm sorry if I spam you. I know you're gonna see this video eventually because you will see like, oh, shared a video, and then I'll probably I do my whole thing. I'm pretty much live on the internet. Okay, and it goes to your question. Like I haven't really, when you guys were talking about all that restaurant stuff, I am actually really shy when it comes to looking for people to talk to in Japanese. I've really only spoken to people in Japanese a few times, and that's why I think I struggle a lot, and why I have this huge gap in information and in vocabulary. And so I try to use Skype because it's easier for me, but people don't usually want to talk to me. So, I remember this one time there was a group of at the junior college, the community college, the city college, what have you. It's called differently in different countries and different states. The Santa Rosa Junior College. There was a group of Japanese people in suits, and I think they were teachers or maybe business owners, but it was very apparent that they weren't from the college. I mean, they were from Japan, and they were staying at a hotel. I saw them later that day. But I heard what they were, I thought like, okay, maybe they're not speaking Japanese. And then I heard some Japanese words, and I'm like, oh, because I didn't really want to eavesdrop. I didn't want to be rude. But I mean, like, I couldn't help but hear what they were saying, and I was like, oh, they're having a conversation in Japanese, and I came up and I said, "Shitsurei shimasu." I said, I'm being rude, but I asked in Japanese, like, where they're from and all that, and I got so nervous, my legs were shaking. It's one thing to sit in front of a camera and speak Japanese. That's one thing, but it's a different thing to actually speak to someone from Japan in Japanese. And I since then I have a friend from high school that's from Okinawa, and I talk to him on Facebook every now and then, but he likes to speak in English. He like lives, he wants to de-Japanese, he wants to like kind of keep it with his friends, like his really close friend, like his family from Okinawa. He doesn't really want to use Japanese with anyone else. He wants to use his English, which is understandable. And he's a cool guy. But it's just this. It's always this struggle because we always want more. We always want to be able to converse more. We always want to be able to say things that a native speaker would say, and then it's like we don't realize this, and it's just like like people are amazed who are learning English. They're amazed at our abilities to speak English, but to us it's like we're just blurting out. And then I have a long way to go with my Japanese, but I hear from people who are in the beginning stage that were at the same place I was at. And that they're just starting where I was 10 years ago. They're just starting, and they listen to me speak Japanese, and they on the chat rooms and all that, and they're like, I wish I can read that, and they're like, oh wow, I'm so frustrated, I can't understand a word you're saying, and I'm like, well, it's probably because I'm not very understandable, but even in my English, I'm not really understandable. But it's just like from my point of view, I'm just one split second from where I was a second ago. I saw it. I didn't see it from, if I saw myself 10 years ago from where I am right now, I'd probably have a different reaction. Or if I saw myself 10 years ago, like if I somehow was me 10 years ago and I saw who I am now, I'd probably be like really amazed at my improvement. But it's just we don't see it as individuals because we see everything in a row. We see everything happen. We know what it took to get there. And we don't really realize that we improve. It's just, I don't know if we'll ever be happy. And even if we knew every single language, how to write it, and how to write it in calligraphy, like write it so it's like could be reproduced as a font. and like even if we could do that and produce like millions of pages a second, I don't think we'd even be happy, because then we'd be like, well, how come we can't do 2 million pages a second? And it's just kind of blabbering on. If I was asked to, what you asked Moses about teaching language to elementary school kids, like you said, you'd make it fun. What, like, what I would do, I mean, you have to teach it. I'm trying to get this whole view of foreign language out of the equation, because it's human language. I mean, we see it, we say foreign language because we know that it's like, most people speak English, which is, debatable, because a lot of people don't speak English in America, and in California, I mean, there's people who speak Spanish, people who speak Portuguese, people who speak Spanish, there's people who speak Mexican Spanish, Salvadoran Spanish, there's people who speak Mandarin Chinese from many different dialects. There's Cantonese speakers, there's Korean speakers, there's a few Japanese speakers that apparently are invisible because I can't find them. And, it's just fine when you see, I guess I've never had kids, and I'm not really used to dealing with kids, but when I was very different than most kids. I wanted to learn. I would stay home from school sick, and I would watch the PBS channel showing college level algebra and calculus and stuff. And, I would read books, for fun. I was different. But I mean, not everybody is like that. There's always going to be that kid. And, that kid should be helped, individually. I think what learning really happens is when people find something to enjoy about learning, rather than feeling they have to learn. Because I didn't really feel like I had to learn. I felt like I had to. I would learn for the sake of learning, and I still do. And now I feel like I need to learn certain things in order to make a living, because it's part of being an adult. But I mean, you look at a kid, they want to have fun because they're kids. What I would do for helping kids learn the language is let them come to you. Give them the opportunities. Have books in different languages in a bookshelf, and just say, look, there's books over there. They have pictures and they have words. And let them, like, let the lesson come to them naturally. You build a lesson for that child specifically, because everybody has different needs. And, it's kind of, it's crazy because, you have a room full of kids and you have to stick with the lesson plan. But at the same time, you want to be effective at helping these children become, who they really want to be. and being, you know, complete people and have all the access to knowledge that they seek. Now, you know, just like lay out a bunch of books and let them gravitate towards the one that they want. You know, there's obviously going to be a consensus. You know, most kids are probably going to, you know, gravitate towards, you know, what they naturally want to learn. So that's, you know, that's one approach, I guess. Now, this whole university thing and languages, it's only, you see, there's a lot of talk on the internet about where people keep having this idea that universities are bad and that language learning should only be done by yourself and that you shouldn't go to language university. I think that's very counterproductive. I mean, language courses aren't that bad. They actually are really good if you let them. You know, if you study on your own and go to class. Not like if you go to class and you only rely on the class, you're going to fail. I mean, you'll pass the class. I mean, if you do, you know, the homework. But I mean, you'll fail at actually learning because most language learning classes, at least in the beginning level, are only focused on learning specific things that don't really stick. And if you don't combine it with native level material and advanced material, then it's just going to be like this exercise in like, oh, como está? Muy bien. You know, it's not going to be like, you're not going to understand it. It's not going to connect the pieces. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. Alright, well thanks guys for having the Skype conversation. I'm going to post this as a video response right now. Bye-bye.